So what we're looking at here is the flow of a backup in an Avamar system, starting with a change to a file on a client. Now there are two files on the client that are loaded into memory once the backup process starts. These are a file cache and a hash cache file. The first file, the file cache file, is used to determine whether or not this file has been backed up before. And it does this by assigning the file a SHA-1 hash and comparing it to existing SHA-1 hashes in the file cache itself. If it matches, the file hasn't been changed and it moves on to the next file. And because it's loaded into RAM, it happens extremely fast. In mostly file server environments, 98% of files, if not better, will be kind of satisfied out of cache. The hash cache actually looks at a similar SHA-1 hash of a subsegment of the data itself. So whereas the file cache keeps the information on the file, the size, the recently used, recently modified metadata attributes to determine its SHA-1 hash, the hash cache itself actually takes and breaks down the data based on its variable segment length and hashes that. So if a file here gets changed, we know that the file cache won't serve this. It'll basically say, hey, this hash that I'm getting now on this file is different than one that's existing. So it'll move on to the next step here, which is what's known as sticky byte factoring. This is basically where the data objects themselves are broken into smaller segments. This happens, and I think the average for these are like 24K per segment. And these go through a compression phase, which I think they claim 30 to 50%. So somewhere in the 12 to 16K range is what it comes out of this compression process as. And then this gets hashed. And so once it's hashed, it'll look on that local, back up here, this hash cache file, and it'll say, well, have I sent this hash before? Have I sent this data in a smaller segment from either this file or another file, so that I don't have to send it again, because that would be a duplicate piece of data. If it hasn't, it'll actually send the hash to the Avamar system itself, or the Avamar server itself, and say, has anyone else ever sent you this hash of data? Meaning, if there's a different client over here, we've got client 2, and client 2 has sent that subsegment of data. It matches that hash, and Avamar system says, yeah, hey, I've got that backed up on me already. You don't need to send it. Move on to the next file. If it doesn't have that, then the hash and the data itself will get sent to the Avamar system. So it'll A, have the data backed up, and B, have a hash of that data, so that in the future, if someone else needs to back the data up, it knows it can compare it against what's already there.